Alright, guys, we are going to talk about how I got a free 1969 Camaro. It's actually a pretty cool car. It would make a really neat day 2 clone or something. You put some sheet metal back on it, and there's a couple things that have been really cobbled together on this thing. I like the car personally. We'll take a look at it here in a minute and kind of go over everything that's on the car and what's kind of been hillbilly botched and what hasn't. I mean, I imagine you guys can see pretty well from what you see right now. There's some spots on the firewall where they really just, I don't know if they took a angry beaver and smacked it on the rear and got to chew up the firewall or what they did with it, but it's been whammered in a few spots. But overall, I think we've got a really good opportunity to make a really awesome car out of this. So let's go back in time here. About 4 months ago, a buddy of mine's got a couple first generation Camaros, and I said, hey, what are you doing with that drag car out back? So that would be a really cool chassis. And he said, well, I'm way too much money into it and I'll never get back what I got into it. And he said, he had a friend go pick it up for him. And unfortunately, judgment's different between other people, and his friend spent his money not so greatly, in my opinion. But it's neither here nor there. It's not my car deal. How I wound up with a car is I was going to do a complete LS and overdrive swap on another 69 Camaro he has that used to be a small block car. Now, time gets away and everything else. I went ahead and picked this car up, I think, in September or October of last year. It's just been kind of sitting inside ever since. Been working on a parts list and kind of looking it over here and there and seeing what exactly I needed to buy for this car to get it straight. Well, I don't like having debts hanging out there at all, period. So I called my buddy and I said, hey, what do I have to give you for this car to settle our debt? And he at this point goes, oh, just come get the title. And I said, there's no way. I don't get stuff for free. I'm not that kind of person. It just never happens that way. And, it kind of really tickled me shitless when he said, hey, come get the title. Well, this past Friday, I actually picked up the title for the car. And we'll go over some cool stuff on the car here in a couple minutes, in regards to VIN tag and trim tag and all other stuff, which is still intact on this car. And, later on we'll discuss some plans with it. But I want to show you guys some great stuff that's gone on in here. First off, that is a actual Mopar radiator that's on this with a rinky-dink little electric fan. The push lock crimp style fuel hose kind of worries me slightly, but we'll replace that with PTFE lined braided stainless and be good to go. The story is they had a big block and a turbo 400 in this car, and they were making passes down the drag strip. You want to know what really scares me about that? Okay, drum brakes. Manual, no problem. Drum brakes, that's the big scary part. So, I have no doubts that it went fast, but slowing down was another story. Now, I don't know what the hell they did to the firewall here, or just even, I get that they tried to shoehorn a big block into this, but they didn't go about it exactly the most right way. So what they did is they took that beaver and just cut the hell out of the firewall. So to make it right, excuse me, and make it a street car, I'm going to have to weld a new firewall and probably parts of the cowl back in it. They did some really wild stuff here on the cage. If you can see, they actually came down to the front subframe. Now, you really should have done an outrigger in this car off the subframe, so that way you wouldn't wind up with a really bad situation on the interior where you actually have no space for the driver to drive or do much with the brakes. If you see, that door bar to chassis actually comes down, I don't know, 8 to 12 inches into the passenger compartment. It really should kind of stick to the rocker area or door shell. So that, and they've made this cage here, let me get a light, and had some really debatable welding going on with it, and they shouldn't have been allowed to build a cage. Over there, it's literally got threaded plumbing pipes, so this is a quality a quality rebuild. So they really built it well for the drag strip. You know, the back half and everything else and the tin work, it doesn't look too bad. I really want to put a rear speaker tray back in the car and, you know, carpet everything else up over here to really kind of get it all back together. Another thing that gets me is, okay, so they cut the dash and then they bent an aluminum dash. I don't know if they bent it and rolled it or what they did, or they bought it like this, but they cut a hole in the dash for the VIN number, which is all right. You know, I really wish they wouldn't have really chewed up the whole damn dash. But you know what? That's something we'll just have to weld a new dash shell on. So, as is life. Now, the cool thing about the car is it actually used to be a Daytona yellow 69 Camaro. And, you know, it's just a basic small block car. It's a 76 on the paint. And this is actually a true X11 car. Now, if only the fellow who built this car wouldn't have drilled a massive hole through the trim tag to mount a freaking rivet. It just kills me how hastily some things are done. Now, the back end, it's really cool. It's got a narrowed 12 bolt on it. And it's got a bunch of other cool stuff underneath. We'll get down here. And I'll get my flashlight going. So, got your 12 bolt. Cool in the rear. Ladder bars, all that good stuff. I mean, so, the rear suspension and chassis work actually isn't bad at all. I don't know if they ran out of money when they were building the back half of this car. You know, they spent it all in that place, and then just anything from the rear end forward they kind of just put together cheaply, or what they did. But it'd be nice to put some coilovers back here on the back to really get it sticking a lot better, and redo the whole fuel system. Another cool thing is this thing's got the narrowed 12 bolt on it. Looks like it's got some Mark Williams axles. It's sitting on a 33 15 tire. You know, I'd really would like to kind of put some quarter back into this area, get rid of this radius, so that way we could actually have a bit more normal of a wheel arch area for the car. Now, what are my plans for the car? Excuse me. Yeah, sounds like the Rona's coming in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do front steel, power brakes. I really want to do, I'd like to do a boosted big block with, you know, turbo 400 with a brake rather than just a glide or something would be, you know, preferred, because I still want to drive this thing on the street as well. So we're going to do a, excuse me, a steel front end, steel doors, probably a steel cow hood as well. We're going to cut the down bars out of the door area, get that stuff fixed, disc brake swap the car, and go have some fun with it.